So I got a text message from a friend of mine. She had some really horrible news. Apparently a stray dog had come onto her property and had murdered 3 of her ducks. She only had 4 ducks, so this was a devastating loss. And the reason for her text message was she didn't know what to do for that 4th duck. That 4th duck was wicked sad and all alone. So she asked me if I'd be willing to take the 4th duck and bring her onto our farm. And to be quite honest with you guys, I feel very personally connected with her ducks. You see, last spring I gave her and her kids 6 hatching eggs to hatch out on their little homestead. Of those 6 eggs, 4 of them hatched. And that's where her 4 ducks came from. Now ducks, they are flock animals, clear and simple. There's nothing sadder than a duck that has to be alone.
I've been so lonely.
So for her to just have 1 duck all by its lonesome self was horrible for the duck. And so I said, sure, I'll bring her back to Goldshaw Farm. Allow me to introduce you to Puddles, the duck. While she's a little bit scared and a little bit traumatized, she's actually a very, very sweet duck, and I'm very excited to have her here. And in today's video, I'm gonna be introducing Puddles, the duck, to the rest of Goldshaw Farm. Release the Kraken! Let loose the goose! Unpen the hen! There she girl. So whenever you get a new duck or goose or chicken on your farm, it's always good to keep them separate.
You gotta keep them separated
before you introduce them to the rest of the flock. This way you can observe their behavior, you can check them out a little bit medically and know if they've got any illnesses or problems. And it also gives the rest of the flock the opportunity to get introduced to them too, having them in the vicinity before they get jammed right in the same area. Now because Puddles is a female duck and I'm introducing her to a flock that has a whole bunch of females and only a couple of males, I'm not expecting anything too crazy with this one. You know, when I introduced Bruce the goose to the goose flock late last year, there was quite a bit of chaos there. Bruce and the other ganders within the flock were battling to understand who's the supreme gander. I had to take it very slowly, and Bruce spent almost 2 weeks living inside that chicken tractor. I've had Puddles in there now for only a couple of days, and I think as I introduce her today, she should be fine. I think I might take a couple of ducks though and bring them to her first so that they can kind of like suss each other out before I introduce her to everybody. Digging alone at the bottom of a hill, our protagonist named Bill. Good morning, Silky Chickens! You know, one thing you guys might be noticing about Puddles is she looks almost identical to Ron Swanson, the duck who thinks she's a goose. Good morning, Ron Swanson. How are you doing there, sweetie? There's actually a good reason for that. You see, Puddles is half Khaki Campbell and half Cayuga duck. So Khaki Campbells are a breed of duck who are known for being prolific egg layers. Meanwhile, Cayugas are these beautiful black and green iridescent ducks who are known for laying these like grayish eggs. Over the last couple of years, I've been doing some experiments where I've been crossbreeding those 2 types of duck. And actually here on our farm, we already have 2 Cayuga Khaki Campbell crosses. So there's Ron Swanson, as you guys know, who's half Khaki Campbell, half Cayuga. And then there's Sirius Quack, who's our half Khaki Campbell Cayuga Drake.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
Puddles, Ron, and Sirius are all the offspring of either jerk duck or generic duck. They are our only 2 full Cayuga ducks on our farm. Oh, would you look at this? Looks like the Drakes are getting to notice her too. That green and black fella right there in the middle, that's Sirius Quack. And then the lady right there in the front, that is Ron Swanson. And then you have, I think that's generic duck. And I don't see jerk duck around, but she's around somewhere. But the cayugas, you can see them. They start off actually all black, but as they get older and they molt, their feathers turn into this cool like mix of black and white. Like a young cayuga typically looks more like Sirius Quack right there. Then you can see in the foreground, that's Yojo. He's one of our khaki Campbell drakes. He's a full breed khaki Campbell. These two ladies here are also full breed khaki Campbell female. So you can see the different duck breeds have different characteristics. And then when it comes to our gal Puddles, she's got her own look. Sort of like Ron Swanson. Uh-oh. Toby Dog is going to say hi to Puddles. I hope he doesn't traumatize her too much. You know, seeing as how her whole family got wiped out by a dog, I could see her being pretty afraid of Toby Dog, but then again, he's so gentle, maybe it's okay. They'll probably get used to each other eventually. All right, it's probably about time for me to introduce Puddles to the rest of the flock. I'm gonna go try to catch Ron Swanson and bring her in with Puddles so the two of them can acclimate, and then I'll start introducing other ducks into the duck tractor. But then I can let everybody out and they can go mix with the rest of the flock. I've found that starting with only a couple of ducks before you go crazy with a whole bunch of ducks usually works better than trying to have everybody in the flock come in at once. So I'm starting with Ron Swanson here for a couple of reasons. You know, number one, Ron is one of the calmest ducks on our farm. I think it's because she was hand hatched and we spent a lot of time with her when she was a baby. The other reason is she's probably the least duckiest duck we have on the farm. You see, she was hatched out with a whole bunch of geese, and so she was raised with her crew of goslings, which have now become known as the Parks and Recreation crew. Because they were all raised together, they've stayed pretty tight as a flock. She intermixes now a little bit more with the ducks as they've all gotten older, but for the most part, she's not part of the broader duck hierarchy. You know, then to top it all off, she is Puddles' sister, and so I felt like it'd be good to start with her. So let's see what happens. Okay, down you go, Ronnie. So this is the first time that Puddles has seen another duck in almost 2 weeks. She clearly wants to make friends. Ron's a little bit confused, but no aggression, no problems really. We're doing pretty good. It is hard to tell them apart.
Hello, we're twins. We're twins. Yes, sir.
Just because I've spent so much time with her, I know that that is Ron Swanson right there, and that is Puddles. They look so close.
I'm so confused, I'm so confused.
So it looks like they're getting along pretty A-okay. I'm gonna go add a drake to see how they all interact together. All right, in you go there, buddy boy. They all seem pretty cohesive and docile, so I'm gonna just let them all go and see how they do. All right, Yellow Neck's the first to escape. Looks like Ron and Puddles need a little more convincing. Come on. Come on, you two. Come on. Out you go. Come on, girl. Come on now. Come on. You can do this. You got this. Come on, girl. There we go. Good job, Toby. Good helper dog. So what's happening right now is the drakes are sort of testing her out and seeing what she's like. They're seeing, okay, she's a female duck. We could always use a new female duck here in our flock. The females are like, yeah, she's okay, but we want to make sure she's not too high up in the pecking order relative to us. And so when you see them nipping at her and sort of testing her out and going around, that's them all sort of testing out where she sits in the hierarchy. This could take several days or even a week or two to sort itself out, but eventually she's definitely going to become a part of this flock, which is really, really good. And while these guys are sorting it all out, I need to go do a little bit of egg collection, or else I'm going to run the risk of having a broody goose. There you go. I'm going to need you to get up, please. Can you please get up? Come on. Come on, girl. Out you go, thank you. You don't want to get too close to a goose that's hanging out like that, or else they will smack you with their wings, and it does not feel good. All right, let's see what we got for eggs here this morning. Ooh, fresh one, fake one, 2 recent ones. Ooh, and look at this. So you can see this goose egg is covered in blood. And if you ever have ducks or geese or even chickens, you might be alarmed if you see this. You know, this rarely happens with ducks and chickens, but it happens all the time when a goose lays her first egg. You can see actually, right? This egg is much smaller than this egg. It's because this is from a young goose, and just like chickens lay pullet eggs, geese lay pullet geese eggs.
That's the dumbest thing you could have said!
But the thing is, compared to a chicken pullet egg, which is much smaller, a goose pullet egg, proportionally to a goose, is still pretty huge. And so it's not unusual in those first couple of eggs for there to be blood on them. So if you have geese at home and you find that they just started laying eggs and those eggs are laid in blood, don't freak out. It's totally normal. It looks like we got another broody gal here in Toby's house. I swear, Toby's house has become the goose's favorite place to lay eggs other than their own house. Come on, gal. There we go. I need you out. Thank you. Yep, one more fresh one. 5 more duck eggs. So you guys might notice as you see Puddles walking around that she's got kind of a limp, like it's a wobbly walk. It was one of the first things I detected when I brought her here to the farm. As I've looked at her and examined her, I know that it's not bumblefoot, so that's good. Bumblefoot is this infection that poultry can get in their feet, which creates this sore and lesion that can actually even be fatal. As I've been watching her really closely, what I've noticed is she's got just sort of a weird leg development. That can sometimes happen with ducks, particularly if they don't have enough niacin in their diet when they're like in their teenage years. Now that she's an adult duck, there's not too much I can do for her now. It doesn't seem all that debilitating, so I'm not that worried about it, but it does make her a little bit quirky, which I think goes really well with Ron Swanson, who's our other really quirky duck. In fact, I'm actually thinking about changing Puddles' name to Swan Ronson. I've been calling her Swan all the time lately. I don't know, since they look alike and they sort of act alike, that kind of felt fitting to me. I'm really curious to know what you guys think about that, so let me know down in the comments and I can take a poll on whether or not it's gonna be Swan Ronson or Puddles. Hey Puddles, you're looking like you're hanging out with the rest of the flock pretty well. That's good. Hey Shakira. Ooh. Hey Barbara. Still sitting on that nest? So it seems like Puddles is definitely starting to get into the flock. This is very good to see. It makes me so happy. You know, she's spent such a long time without having any duck companions. Even though there was a little bit of work to do in terms of establishing her in the hierarchy, I think it's great to see her becoming part of a duck family. If you guys are interested in learning more about Ron Swanson and all of her quirks, I'll leave this up here so you can take a look at it and find out her backstory. There is a reason she's called Ron Swanson, for the record. Thanks for watching, guys.